first topic, realistically, is to talk about Avatar: The Way of Water crossing $1.1 billion. Now, I've already done a video on this, and I think it's important to sort of drop in straight away and just be like, look, I was wrong. Like, I'm happy freely to admit I'm wrong. My preconceived notions and opinions of the film, I still hold those opinions, by the way. That doesn't change my opinion. I still personally think the film is shit. But I'm not going to sit there and say that it's not being successful, because crossing $1.1 billion in like 14 days or whatever it is insane. Like, that's really, really good. So from a news perspective and from general populist perspective, I was wrong. I mean, Tom, you're of the same mindset I am. So what do you think about it? Crossing $1.1 billion in about 14 days. I mean, it's pretty mad.
Nothing to do with how I felt about I've not seen the film. I don't have any desire to. I don't wish any ill will towards the film. And I didn't think it was going to do all that great to begin with, because I have not seen any buzz for it. And funnily enough, outside of people in the YouTube sphere that see it for like review reasons and stuff like that, I have not met one person in my personal life who has seen this movie. But yet it's made $1.1 billion. It feels like Captain Marvel all over again. It's really weird. But again, I guess people are going to see it. So
I my sort of thought process on this was like, there must be a whole bunch of people that maybe it's normies. I don't know, because you are right. Like, there isn't a buzz, or there never seemed to be a buzz, and then it happens, and you're like, wow, loads of people really like this film, clearly. But then who's watching it? Because no one's really talking about it. So I'm like, it must be silent Avatar lovers or general normies, I guess. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, Nick, let's come to you first, I guess. Like, $1.1 billion. Did you think it would do this?
I can't believe it hit the 1 billion mark. Like, if I had
did that in about 13 days, apparently.
If I had to bet on
great.
that, of it hitting that, basically in the first 2 weeks, I would have bet all my money against it happening. Just like Tom, in my personal life, I know nobody who's seen this film. I don't know. Let's see, what do we got? Like 200 people in chat right now. I'm curious. I don't know if you can do a poll in
I think I can
chat.
do it on StreamYard.
I'm just curious how many people in the chat have seen this movie. Because I don't know where all these people are coming from. I haven't heard none of my friends, people that I talk to regularly about movie stuff. None of them have hit me up and said anything about this movie or anything. So I'm very surprised that it's hit this 1 billion mark. And again, I didn't think that it was going to get there, especially in a 2-week time frame.
I mean, it's tracking with Top Gun, but it's not tracking very well with Spider-Man No Way Home. So it's still performing below what that did. And everybody keeps wanting to compare it to Top Gun, which there are some similarities, but they were released at completely different times in the year. Spider-Man, on the other hand, was released at the same time, and it has some similar competition coming up as well as Avatar does. So, I mean, we'll have to see. I'm not saying I disbelieve the numbers. I'm just very sus right now. I with Disney being involved, I'm very, very sus.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so I have just done a poll, actually, ladies and gents, at the top of the chat. You can see that now, so please do check that out. I did actually get sent an email. I haven't had a chance, because obviously after Christmas, you sort of getting back into things and things like this. And I was sent an email from Yusuf, and it was to do with Avatar 2 box office numbers. And they just said, look, it's fake. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me have a look. Let's see, that's a pretty bold claim, right? And they say, someone needs to check into this Avatar box office. 1 billion box office for Avatar, 30% domestic, 70% overseas. Who are they
it's all
fooling?
overseas, yeah.
Only 750 theaters in France, but claiming $60 million. Interesting. Not even filmed in Asia or Europe. This is just what I'm just reading out what he says. So I don't really know what they mean by that. 28 million in Mexico with no theaters in the data.
Filmed,
in China,
maybe shown, maybe in the translation.
Yeah, but I know it was. But I know there was. It was shown in Europe though, like Germany and things like that.
Yeah, but maybe not like significant enough theaters is what he means. Perhaps.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm just
no.
trying to interpret. But yeah.
No.
Yeah, likewise. And then they say $28 million in Mexico with no theaters in data. In China, it bombed because it did like $100 million in China. So, and they say, so how is this mathematically possible?
That's what I'm saying. None of it really adds up for some reason. It's like,
yeah, when you look at it, you're like, yeah, it's a bit curious. Like, I do agree. I'm not one to throw out and be like, yeah, it's complete nonsense. Like, I'm not going to do that. But it's an interesting thought experiment because I've not looked into it enough to know. I mean, if we look at Box Office Mojo, for instance, Avatar 2, because I don't know what they're saying on. So if we look at Box Office Mojo, Avatar 2, $317.4 million domestic, $712 million worldwide. I mean, that is a lot.
Yeah, it's nothing to sneeze at, but it's very lopsided. And of course, the original film was too, but not that much.
I'm trying to see if it was a performance. Right. Okay. So here you go. Here's what they're saying. So $60 million in France, $36 million in Germany, $33 million in the UK. I can believe that. You know, I can believe that. Spain 18, Italy 18. Maybe they were confused and they didn't realize it released so widely across Europe. Because I mean, it has. There's a lot, but there's no massive numbers.
Yeah, unless I misinterpreted what they mean, I have no idea.
Yeah, until you get to like Latin America. So Mexico's done well, and then Brazil.
They don't count. Do they count Mexico in the North American numbers though?
Mexico's just in Latin America. So on Box Office Mojo, it's separate. The one that surprised me was actually South Korea, because it's not a huge place, but did $53.9 million, which is good. Like that's a good thing. Like it's a surprise. It's still good though.
Sorry, I'm just very sus of some this for some reason. It just and whatever.
Maybe it's just all the small things that add up, isn't it? Really, when you're looking at it,
could like India, I guess
$40 million. I don't know. I'll be curious to see what the actual theatre breakdown is of those places, you know, because France being so big with like what was said, like 750 theatres. That's a lot. That is a lot, unless they're just all like IMAX screenings and all of that from that. But hey, it's done well. Like, let's be honest, like, you know, it has done well.
If these numbers are accurate, then I guess I remember Anna, that Star Wars girl, in chat when we were talking about this like a month or so ago, talking about how many people go to the Avatar theme park and how many people she knows that can't wait for this movie. There must be a lot more Avatar fans out there than I know of personally.
They're on the East and West Coast, I guess, because I don't know them.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't necessarily think it's fans. I just think it's a lot of normies, you know? I genuinely think it's just a lot of normal people that are like, oh, I'd like to go see that, whatever. You know, people, I guess, that go and watch like 3 movies a year.
Yeah.
For argument's sake. You know, people that are really selective. They're like, I'll watch the biggest film of the year in theaters and that's it. Maybe. That's because we don't, you get, again, like, you know,
and for those people, they probably are looking at it like, okay, that the first Avatar movie was huge. Like everybody went to the theater. You had to go see it on the big screen. So maybe in their minds, they're like, oh, Avatar 2 is out. You know, this is going to be another one of those big movies you have to see in the theater, you know, blah, 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 and 3D.
Well, that's what the trailer was suggesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, theaters only, watch it. It's the event movie of the decade or what I can't remember what it said. But, you know, it's all that kind of crap that they normally say.
Yeah, maybe the marketing really helped the numbers here for them.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there you go. It is interesting. It is interesting. it'll be interesting to see whether they think this is a success or not, because that's the other important thing to note. Like, I don't want to get too bogged down with what James Cameron said and how people say you're taking it out of context when the context was there. He hasn't cleared it up, so we don't really know, right? But
no, and the papers have checked up on it, and we've heard now that the budget was somewhere in the $460 million range.
Well, I heard 350. Where's the 460 come from?
I think it was Deadline.
Fucking hell!
And that would match up with needing two. That would match up with needing $2 billion in revenue. Yeah.
Do you think though, because they're not going to spend 400 on marketing, because there wasn't any marketing, unless we're talking about elsewhere in the world? Maybe.
No, but once you add, okay, let's say they spent 200 million on marketing.
So 660.
Okay? So 6 right there, you got to triple that. That's about $2 billion. That's what I'm saying. No matter which way you cut this, you can argue that Cameron was being a little hyperbolic, maybe, but not really. Like, when you stop and think about it, if the movie costs nearly as much as they're boasting, I mean, once you add in everything else, yeah.
Do you think they would have spent like $200 million? Because I don't feel its presence.
I saw a lot of previews
as
for
much
it
as
all
other
over.
movies.
I mean,
really?
Yeah, I think they spent more money on advertising than they did on Wakanda and stuff like that. I would say.
I've seen commercials for it during football games and stuff.
Okay.
Weekend.
So I don't watch normal TV, right? Like I live on streaming and stuff because I don't. Have TV
now my mom didn't see it. Now my mom watches all the normie stuff. She doesn't really watch YouTube or anything like that. She didn't see a preview for it until Thanksgiving.
That's surprising.
And that was during the football game, I believe. So,
well, yeah. So, but doesn't Disney own the rights to the football stuff? Because
if it's on ABC,
yeah,
don't they own ESPN because that's with Fox?
Well, that too, yeah.
So they wouldn't pay for that, though, would they? They'd internalize that cost.
They'd pay themselves.
Yeah, I think they still have to put it in the budget, don't they?
I guess. Isn't
that how that works, Tom?
Yeah, because they're technically separate entities, although they're under the same umbrella.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they'd have to pay, but that's money out of that advertising budget that would go into ESPN, which at the end of the day would trickle its way back down to Disney. So yeah, it's one hand feeding the other kind of thing. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, there you go. Like, it has done really well. So there's that. So that's good.
Yeah, and there's cereal, there's toys, like Bob said in the chat there. They've done a lot as far as in the US side of things to bolster the film. I just don't see the numbers in the box office wise, the US side of things. And maybe that's why Nick and I haven't met anybody in our personal lives who've seen this movie yet. Because really, if you look at the US numbers, they're not that great. They're okay. They're good. They're definitely good for a movie, period.
Yeah.
But not for a movie this big.
Everybody I know saw Spider-Man. Everyone was talking about it. Top Gun. You know, I don't know anybody that's seen this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I know guys who saw Spider-Man 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, same. I saw it, I think, 3 times in theaters.
Yeah. Okay, well, I thought that'd be an interesting opening topic. It has done really well, but we'll just if you want to support the show, by the way, guys, super chat's really, really good way. Drop it in. You appreciate what we do here. Support it with a super chat. It's also a good way to get us to sort of interact with you and get your question heard as well. So, good segue off is Big Red 40K.
Just don't ask us where babies come from.
They're Santa Claus, aren't they? They deliver them as midgets.
Yeah, with the stork.
Yeah. So Big Red 40K for $5 Canadian. I'll move my bloody mic. Says, I saw the film for the second time yesterday. It was a great time. The theater was half full, but it was for expensive 3D tickets. Yeah,
well, somebody who saw it twice at least already. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to differentiate as well. Like, I don't know, like 13 years of inflation. What's the difference now on the inflation?
Actually, there's a huge difference in the price of tickets. Like, that's the other thing that people aren't taking into
consideration. It's not just inflation, it's also ticket prices as well, then, isn't it?
Because there was already a huge inflation difference between the original Black Panther and Wakanda Forever that like guys like Valiant Renegade and stuff are taking into consideration. So I got to imagine it's so I got to imagine it's more like 40% or more difference between what tickets were back when Avatar came out and the new one now.
Yeah, because the first Avatar came out in like what, 2010 or
2009? Yeah, late 2009.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, so we've got the results of the poll anyway. So let's have a look. Where's the results of my poll? So 165 votes. Did you watch Avatar 2? 72% say no, and 27% said yes for the poll. Did you watch Avatar 2? So not a ton of people, basically.